Welcome to Convergence, where faith, leadership, and culture merge. I'm Robbie White, and I'm here with my friend Eric Betts, and together we are here to, in this season of the podcast, we're here to talk about prophetic leadership. Not a leadership that's driven by performance or personality, but as moral courage rooted in a deep kind of spiritual grounding. Where does moral courage come from, and where do you have the strength to lead in a world like ours? How do you lead with a moral compass in a time like ours? And so I want us to talk together about these kind of things. And really, what we're going to frame our conversation around has to do with humility, courage, and resilience. And we're going to draw from people and their lives and teachings as varied as from Howard Thurman. We're gonna talk about a little bit maybe about Jim Collins' idea of leadership and how that can tie in.
Yes.
Jesse Jackson's life and legacy. I want to talk a little bit about that on this day. But Eric, here we are, and the world has changed. Imagine that. The world that we live in has changed since we last talked in this chapel here at Athens State. The world has shifted. And it's shifted in a way that has now, I think, brought all of us into a conflict and potentially a larger conflict than we really, that initially those in power thought it would be or become. What do you think about leadership, the world we live in, and how can prophetic leadership offer wisdom for an age like ours, for a time like ours?
Yes, and that brings us to Howard Thurman's leadership. For those who don't know who Howard Thurman is, he's one of those who have been identified as one of the American prophets. In the text, American Prophets, written by historian Albert J. Robideau. There's several prophets. We've mentioned those in our podcast, and Howard Thurman is one of those. And Howard Thurman was the teacher and mentor during Dr. King's academic journey that helped him to become formed into the prophetic leader that he became. And Howard Thurman wrote a seminal work, a masterpiece called Jesus and the Disinherited.
Yes.
And in that text, he speaks about the three hounds of hell that track the souls of the disinherited, particularly while they are in situations of oppression and colonization and occupation. And those three hounds of hell were fear, hatred, and hypocrisy. Mm-hmm. And even those who live lives where they are more advantaged than the disinherited can learn from the disinherited, can learn from Jesus, who not only served the disinherited, but was also a poor Galilean. And that hound of fear is what has brought us, or rather shall I say, has kept us in this position that we are in today. We think about America is now celebrating its 250th anniversary.
Right.
And allow me to say this, that out of 250 years of United States history, at the very minimum, 200 of those years, the United States has been at war with somebody. The United States, which I'm a citizen, views itself as the good guy, as the good cop, as the good policeman on the world stage. The United States looks at the world and sees nothing but terrorists. Yet Dr. King, who was mentored by Howard Thurman, stated something that was really struck me when I read the statement by Dr. King, and that is that America is the largest purveyor of violence in the world, while simultaneously viewing itself as the good guy. And when we see casualties in war, such as the school children who died in the bombing, America simply says that that's just the price of being America. But those children are not somebody else's children. They're all of our children.
That's right.
That's where Jesse Jackson comes in.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an American to be somebody.
Right.
Everyone is created in the image of God.
Yeah.
And everybody is a somebody. And this is what drove and inspired Jesse Jackson, who was a disciple of Dr. King, who was a disciple of Howard Thurman, to not only engage in civil rights work, anti-poverty work, workers' rights, but also it is what drove him to his peacemaking efforts around the world. He was not simply a domestic figure, he was a global figure.
Right.
He, through this idea of viewing ourselves through the lens of others, allowed him to travel to places around the world where our own official diplomats were not able to solve various crises. He was able to bring about peace, to negotiate the release of hostages. The peace that he sought is the peace that, the expression peace through strength.
Right.
So
yeah.
if we can threaten
being used a lot.
Yes, this bully and gangsterism, peace through strength. That's how gangsters speak in the streets. Right. If I have the biggest gun, if I have so many body counts, then I'll be feared, and our gang will be feared.
Right.
And that will bring about peace. But true peace, and this goes to all religious traditions, can only come through justice. When Jesus said,
right,
"Blessed are the peacemakers," he wasn't referring to a peace that submits and cooperates with the most powerful.
No.
A peace that says, "Do as I say or else," but a peace that comes through viewing everybody as an equal, viewing everybody as a somebody, and also the idea that justice and righteousness, treating everyone with love, with compassion, with care,
yes,
as one of our own, is what brings about peace.
That's right, Eric. You raised something even in later on in those Beatitudes, as you well know, Jesus makes mention. Yes. Blessed are you when you're persecuted.
Yes.
For what? For righteousness' sake.
Yes.
For standing for justice.
Yes.
So Jesus knew, inevitably you try and live this out, you're going to run into this the opposition of the mentality that is threatened by. And of course, in his context, he's talking about an empire.
Yes.
And there are a couple of things you said that really resonate with me, and I want to explore a little more deeply with you. The idea you mentioned, I think Jesse Jackson on this, but the other leaders as well. The idea that one of the challenges of our time is to transcend our understanding of what it means to be a citizen beyond the national identity, that we have to understand that we are world citizens. existence, that
Yes.
that we are connected, all of us. And for tragedy to occur even on the other side of the globe, it impacts the psyche and soul of all of us. We're all impacted by this. And so I think on the one hand, prophetic leader is someone who helps us understand context, but helps us transcend the narrow identity that we so often give ourselves. And the other thing that you mentioned was about the three hounds of hell that Howard Thurman talked about. You know, fear and deception and hatred. Those are tools being used in our very time. And through the media, the public forums that we have with, from Facebook and Instagram and other venues that we have that are so readily available, but especially when you see people in power who intentionally wield these things as part of an agenda, as part of a strategy, I think we need to go back and embrace what Howard Thurman said. Fear, deception, and hatred are the hounds of hell. They will lead all of us into chaos and the abyss.
Yes. They will lead us into the abyss. And Dr. King, according to Harry Belafonte, the next sermon, if he were to have preached a sermon that Sunday, he had already sent it to his secretary. And the title of the sermon was "America May Go to Hell."
Right.
And that's because with the concept that he had was that there's either chaos or community.
Right.
And we have to choose which path we're going to go down. And it seems that since King's death, that we have chosen chaos over community. When I think about the three hounds of hell, fear, hatred, and hypocrisy, we see all three as you've mentioned. But just think about the hypocrisy dynamic. The United States of America can do, because of its great power, its military, what others cannot do.
Right.
It would seem to be an injustice if other people did it. When Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, we said you can't do that. You're just disrupting international order.
Yes.
But if the United States does it, it's right because it's the United States. Another aspect is that much of this, much of the ideas around America's foreign policy in the world, and the defense secretary mentioned some of this about language around Armageddon, flows out of bad theology that is centered around fear.
I only laugh because that's so true.
Yeah,
it's wrapped around fear, and it's a misreading of the text itself.
Yes.
And I don't know, sometimes it's unintentional, but it sure works well intentionally if you're in power and trying to evoke fear.
Yes.
You know, it's so true, Eric. I agree with you completely. And, you know, the idea is to have prophetic courage. It's, and I know in our notes a line about, you know, it's the courage, to tell the truth in love.
Yes.
It's the courage to resist systems without losing your soul. Well, we could talk a long time about that.
Yes.
Sometimes when we resist and oppose out of a real compassion and a sense of justice, when you oppose a system, if you're not careful in the reaction itself, you yourself become caught in the web of hatred and fear and even deception.
Yes, and that's the challenge. Dr. King talked about the concept of being maladjusted.
Right.
in our world, these three hounds of hell exist,
Right.
and engaging in this prophetic work, we diminish ourselves. As Dr. King said, you can't drive out hate with hatred.
Yeah, right.
Only love can do that. You can't drive out darkness with darkness. Only love, only light can do that. And when we diminish ourselves, we diminish our own humanity, because being human
Right.
is understanding how to love. Howard Thurman made this statement. He says there's something about hatred that we misunderstand. And I don't want us to think that hatred is just this emotion where we're saying, I just can't stand your guts. Hatred is anything that is not aligned with love. And love is what struggles. Love is the struggle for justice, equality,
That's right.
freedom, and the flourishing of all people. It is a moral commitment. So many people think, because I don't look at a person with disdain, I didn't use a racial slur, I was kind to somebody, I'm nice to these immigrants, I didn't say anything bad to them, that I don't have hatred.
Right.
But if you're not concerned about their flourishing, their well-being, if you don't view them as one of you,
And their treatment.
then that is the same as hatred.
Yes.
So hatred, according to Thurman, cannot be captured in a bottle,
Right.
where I can just hate those people over there and it has no impact.
Exactly.
So once that hatred is released, according to Thurman, once it's like a genie in a bottle, you're hating people over there, and what ends up happening is you end up hating yourself.
That's right.
You end up not loving the people around you.
It invades and infects the very soul
Yes.
of a person.
Yes.
Can I say it this way about hatred?
Yes.
That hatred is not just hot. Hatred can be ice cold. It can be hot and cold.
Yes. Yes.
We
yes.
focus on what's hot,
Yes.
but honestly, hatred can also be
Indifference to injustice. Yes.
yes, and that happens in our time as well.
Yes.
And the prophetic leader is someone who will lead in a way that it reveals and opens up these understandings of how to live, as you've mentioned already, how to flourish in a world like ours. And one of the real elements, one of the key ingredients of a leader is of this kind is humility. Learning how to live with humility. And I'll say it this way: lasting public courage is born in hidden places. I don't know if Thurman said it, but he certainly lived it. There was this deep sense of humility in his life that was wed and merged with courage that came from an inner strength from his life that, quite honestly, is easy to miss in our time. When people talk about leadership, often people, and even when people are in that role, sometimes they see that as an opportunity to grab power, to be loud, to lead with charisma alone. That there's no substance under it. There's no spirit, no soul about this. And that will inevitably lead us to the cliffs of despair.
Yes. This idea of humility is what the United States has yet to grasp, because the idea is law and order domestically,
Right.
which has led to America being the largest having the largest prison population per population numbers, based on population numbers, in the world. The world's largest jailer and the most militaristic. because of the idea that the stronger I come across, the more I can establish order.
Right.
But humility allows you to sit down across the table from someone who has competing interests.
That's right.
And view them as a brother.
Yes.
View them as a neighbor. And when people are respected, that's what Jesse Jackson was able to do. When there are those in this world in which we live, there are always going to be competing interests. Mm-hmm. But the ability to respect, to show respect to those, that's what diplomacy is. Diplomacy is not sitting down talking to your friends.
Right.
It's being able to talk to those who have strong competing interests. So humility is being able to know that I'm not above you. We are equals.
Right.
And for the poor, to let them know you're not beneath me.
Right.
And for the poor to see themselves not as being beneath because of what you have or you don't have, but that you are equal. That takes humility.
Yes.
Pride uses the position of those who are not educated, those who are vulnerable, those who are not as well informed, those who don't have as many resources. Rather than lifting them up, they would take advantage of that lack or that desperation. But humility sees us all as equals. Another thing also about humility is that humility is able to see yourself, no matter how big you are, as a small factor within a larger and within a higher purpose. And that's what faith is all about.
Right.
And we say here in the United States that we are a people of faith.
Right.
So first of all, faith says that if I respect everybody, if I love everybody, if I treat everybody with justice, it will not lead to my diminishment.
Yes.
Because that's the fear.
Right.
If we love everybody, if we respect everybody, if we treat everybody as an equal, if we don't believe ourselves to be bigger than what we are, then we will be destroyed. When in actuality, it is that pride, as the word says, that eventually will lead us to our fall. It led to the fall of Assyria. It led to the fall of the British Empire. It led to the fall of Rome in Jesus' day. Humility recognizes our place within this higher purpose, this larger narrative.
That's so good.
It recognizes that that those who have died have a place, and those who are coming behind. That's why Howard Thurman was able to be behind the scenes. He was a prophet, but he didn't have the headlines, so to speak. So humility understands that I'm accountable to those prophets, those leaders, those traditions that came before me, and I'm also accountable to those who will come after me, and all of those who are around me. I am a small piece of a larger puzzle, and I just want to be able to play my role within that larger purpose, that larger frame.
I like that, Eric. And on the other, not on the other side, but the other aspect of humility. So often when you talk about humility, when you're in leadership, people think, oh, well, being humble means being weak.
Yes.
It means just laying down and being a doormat, and not resisting, not speaking the truth in love, not showing courage. That's not humility at all. Humility is the strength to yield in that sense, to serve. And as you were saying, to recognize that you are yourself a part of a cause far greater than you are, or that your position has allowed you to be in the moment.
Yes.
That we're all working, at least in the ideal, we're working toward something far more just.
Yes.
Far more compassionate.
Yes.
Than the system we live in today.
Yes. Yes.
And, the hope is that can we learn Can we be humble? Can we be teachable? Can we let this moment in history teach us how to be more human?
Yes. Yes.
How to flourish, how to be citizens of not just this nation, but of the world itself. And for those who are people of faith, that's the real challenge as well, to recognize where your loyalty lies. And, so all of this kind of has reminded me of this. The other thing, when you talk about humility, it's interesting. I know you know this, Jim Collins in Good to Great, he talks about the level 5 leader. And when he set out to do this study with his team of researchers he thought, and he says this in interview after interview, he thought that part of great leadership, what they were going to find, was that charisma in the leader was going to determine or set the tone for moving from good to great. And what he discovered instead, as you know, is that great leaders are leaders who have a spirit of humility, who recognize that the cause is greater than their individual ego, that they are willing to give themselves to the cause and do it with resolve and courage, but at the same time show humility. Does that make sense?
Yes, and this is something that I talked about. I keep bringing back my Sunday sermons.
That's good.
That we're in the season of Lent.
Yes.
Right now. So I talked about the temptation scene at the in the preparatory stage of Jesus of Nazareth's public ministry.
Right.
And the tempter tempted Jesus to bow down. Well, first, he said, make these stones into bread if you are the Son of God. Jesus didn't do it because he wanted us to know that your somebodyness is not based upon what you have or what you don't have.
Right.
Whether or not you can change your circumstances or whether or not you can change your circumstances. Then he said, jump off the cliff.
Right.
And if you do that, you will prove that God is your protector.
Right.
All of this was to get Jesus to align himself with ego rather than the humble mission that is that the Spirit had anointed him to do. Then the third one, he said, bow down. And this is what reminds me of what you're saying about Jim Collins. Bow down, show them all the kingdoms, bow down, and I will give you all of the kingdoms that you see in this vision that I'm giving to you. Right. Jesus said to the tempter, I will not bow down because I will worship the Lord, and God only shall I serve. Right. So what is remarkable about this is that Jim Collins talked about that many people think success is the spectacular, a quick move into whatever your goals were. Jesus didn't bow down. First of all, Jesus did not bow down because in doing so, not only would he betray God, but he would betray his community.
That's right.
Because he says, him only shalt thou serve. And how did Jesus serve God? He served God by ministering to the poor, ministering to the oppressed, ministering to the captives, ministering to those who were in chains, ministering to the suffering. So the tempter offered Jesus a quick entrance into this kingship that Jesus wanted to establish, but Jesus chose the long road. Yeah. He chose the road of suffering. He chose the way of the cross. He chose to struggle with the oppressed and not to bow down and align with the oppressor. That's right. And And so in this, Jesus was showing this humility
Yeah.
by saying, I'm not interested in this kingdom. I'm interested in struggling with the oppressed in order to realize this vision for humanity.
That is so good.
Yeah.
You're right. That's in leadership. Leadership is so,
That's the strategic resolve.
right,
Yes.
that Jesus showed.
Yes.
And he exhibited what? Humility. He exhibited strength, courage, and resilience. Jesus actually embodied all of those things in the kind of leadership that he offered.
This is one more thing here that we're talking about humility in this time of war. You remember the scene when Jesus of Nazareth was with his disciples, and this goes to show the humility aspect. And he wanted to go into a certain village, and the citizens of that village disrespected Jesus, insulted Jesus, didn't show Jesus any kind of appreciation at all. And the disciples said, Jesus, shall we not call down fire, in brackets, bombs, on these people because of how they are disrespecting us and disrespecting you? And Jesus says, you don't know what spirit you are of. He says, I didn't come to destroy people. I came to save people.
Right.
And so humility is also knowing that you have the power, but you don't exercise it, because in exercising it, you're going to bring harm instead of wholeness. So many people who are in leadership abuse their power because they can. This is what one of our diplomats or one of our officials said. Well, why are we doing this? Because we can.
Because we can.
Humility recognizes that some things may be lawful, but they are not necessarily expedient.
Oh,
Humility says, I don't do it because I can. I do what is right. And I believe that if I do what is right, that it's going to work out not only for myself, my countrymen, but for the entire world.
For the flourishing of the entire world, as you said.
Yes.
And that's so good. The fact of the matter is, as we begin to think about this kind of leadership and humility in the world that we're in today, the idea is there has to be a certain depth and interior to the leader, a willingness to examine oneself,
Yes.
to recognize how easy it would be to be co-opted into the hatred of the day, to begin to allow all that to taint the leader. And so to be a prophetic leader is to really, as you said, it is to, with humility and strength and courage and a spirit of grace and love, is to lead people to a place where all people can live into a better reality, and not just some, not those who are in power. I mean, there's a lot we could talk about here, Eric. I mean, more than we can, we're going to get to today. But I agree with what you've said about humility and courage. It's so needed in our time, and it's quite honestly a challenging time to live in.
It is
as a leader.
And as you said, it is easy to be co-opted.
Yes.
Especially in this age of AI and algorithms and propaganda, even patriotic propaganda, to be co-opted. Right. We must understand, and this is what Howard Thurman and King wanted us to understand, we have to learn how to be human together.
Yes.
If we're not human together, we can't be human at all. And nations come and go. Going back to what you said about citizenship, the map that I looked at when I was growing up is not the same map today. There are countries that are on
It's
that map.
changed.
It's not the same as today.
Right.
But regardless of the map, we are still human.
Yes.
And until we recognize that our humanity is more important than our legal documentation or our birthright or place of birth, until we realize that we are all are threatened to, as King would say, perish together. Because he said we will either learn how to live together as family or perish together
Yeah.
as fools.
Exactly. Words of wisdom that we all need with how to move forward, how to be a leader, how to offer prophetic leadership in our time. To do it with humility and courage, with a spirit of resilience, not to give up.
Yes.
I do think it requires an interior aspect to the speaker's life, to the leader's life, and then the other thing is, not to be so co-opted into this that you lose the moral bearing, the sense of what are you standing for? What exactly are you when you oppose someone or something? To know as a leader that there's a greater cause.
Yes.
That cause is justice and for compassion and equality in the world. And we quite honestly are seeing in our time how so many of those in leadership are there only to protect their power and to exert their will on others. That's not prophetic leadership.
Yes.
So often when people think about prophets, they think about people who were angry, or actually the prophets, did they not point us to a better way? They were pointing people to the covenant. They were pointing people to the steadfast love of God. They were pointing toward a better day. Jesus did this with his life. He talked about the kingdom.
Yes.
That aspect of living into. And as you were mentioning before we started our podcast, it's not that we've lived into that. It's not that we are even close. We don't arrive. We journey together.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for this conversation.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
And thank you for your insight. I think it's very helpful. It's helpful to me, and I hope as those of you who are listening or watching, that it will cause you to think more deeply about the times in which we are a part and what it means to be a leader, to be a prophetic leader in our time. It's so easy in our time to say anything that's perceived as critical of the nation is so often perceived by some as being less than patriotic.
Yes.
But really, if you think about patriotism, you're talking about a love of a people and a place with the hopes that we can live into the ideal of who we might be together in the world. And I don't mean for that to be the final sense of identity, as we've talked about already. There's a higher calling for us to recognize we can transcend that. But nonetheless, I would contend that to be a part of this country and to be a patriot is to speak truth in love, and to have the courage and resolve and humility to say things that quite honestly are uncomfortable for some to hear.
Yes.
And so I would think that what we need in our time is prophetic leadership.
Yes. And that's a difference between patriotism and nationalism.
Oh,
but that's another discussion altogether.
You're exactly right.
Yes.
Well, Eric, thank you again for the conversation. And we're grateful to have this time and thankful for those of you who've joined us. If nothing else, I hope it stirred something up for you, ideas to ponder in your own journey. And in case I forget at other times, behind the scenes here, we have Grayson, who is really someone who helps make all of this possible, and we're grateful for him as well. But thank you for joining us today on Convergence on the podcast. And Eric, until next time, indeed, prophetic leadership,
Yes.
humility, courage, resilience.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for joining us.